So put your feet down flat or right below your knees if you can. You're sitting in a chair. And start to allow more. This idea of that there's more happening in every yoga pose that you can ever than your mind can ever be aware of. Right? So allowing is an essential part of your consciousness. And it's going to be an essential part of all yoga poses and movement. So not only is there more happening in your yoga poses, there's probably more dimensions happening here than the 4 that we're never going to be able to see. Right? So allowing is going to be one of your best ways to stay open to what you'll never be able to make tangible, but to be able to receive. So allowing should be, and letting there be more here, shouldn't just be an act of the mind. Remember, your consciousness is both your mind and your body. And so by centering, you're trying to set the conditions of allowing. Right? It's not just about quieting out your mind. It's about letting more in. And more is a sensation without an object. So I start trying to open the gates by locating myself in space, not with my eyes, but with my senses. Especially try to stay open to what's behind me that I can't see. Softening the organs of perception, the way my brain has to narrow down my experience in order to function. So skin on the forehead, the temples, the jaw, the inside of the mouth. Then recognize that in asana, you're going to want to have more awareness come through your spine, out through your limbs. So as you allow, then start to ground your sitting bones. Push them slightly down. And there's a very, very gentle, initially gentle lift of the lower abdomen. As you do that, feel and extend awareness down through your inner heels. So again, you're grounding the sits bones. You're lifting up and expanding the awareness up your spine and broadening it across your chest and across your back ribs. Balance your head over your neck. Soften your lips. Lips together, teeth slightly apart. Down, up, and expansion. Notice the breath in each nostril, into each lung. Keep your consciousness in each sitting bone and the outside of each foot. Don't push your breath anywhere. It touches everything already. It does through your blood. Let go of your day. Prepare your mind to do yoga. Good. And then release. Take your sternum up towards your chin down over your sternum. So again, choose to lift the sternum more than drop the chin. Think of the lift of the rib cage as clarity between your spine and your breath. So as the inhalation nudges into your rib cage, it goes right into your spine. Good. And then raise your head up with closed eyes. Open your eyes. So the interplay between your spine and your breathing is a good thing to study the rest of your life. Right? So one of the things that lifting your sternum does, right, is gets your spine, your ribs having more discipline, and it clarifies the way that the energy from the ribs goes into the spine, right? And so it makes it a little bit crisper. And so then the inhalation, right, can push into the rib cage. And then it also expands the diaphragm. In order to take the inhalation, the diaphragm actually also expands a little bit, especially across the back ribs, right? So you're watching the interplay between certain different types of tissue, right? So you're taking the inhalation in. And notice on the inhalation that there's a broadening that happens both at the lower diaphragm and across here. So just take that, there's an expansion here, and you feel it in terms of oxygen, but feel what it does to the muscle right across the mid-back. So one time I was in a pranayama class with Geeta Iyengar, and she talked about the bottom floating rib, as the gatekeeper. Right? Now, the gatekeeper between, Bika Iyengar has a really important line that I want to focus on in this class, that the intersection of the subtle body and the physiological body occurs at the diaphragm. Okay, so already your breath is utilizing what is being told by the best asana practitioner ever to live is the diaphragm, is the intersection between two different levels of your being. Right? So as you breathe in here, right? And notice what happens on exhalation then. So there's an expansion on inhalation, right? And then when you exhale, especially from the back ribs, there's an opportunity for an extension along the spine. Now, I've been sitting there really thinking about, like, when you think about how the whole nervous system is set up and the whole system, everything, there's the spinal cord, there's all the nerves that all emanate through the spine, but the vascular system also starts coming from here and moves all the way out through the body. I think it mirrors the inhalation, that your life force is actually distributed more powerfully in your spine, and it's extending out through the limbs, and the brain came second to the party. It's the latecomer. It grew off of the top of the spine and thought it was in charge, right? And so a lot of what yoga is trying to do is trying to get you to realize that the centering part of your life force is more happening through the spine and distributing through the limbs. That's why spinal injuries are so painful, because it's actually hampering some of the distribution of your life force when something's out of alignment, right? So this idea, so on this inhalation, just notice how your inhalation expands in every direction. I think that expansion, right, is happening whether you're breathing or not. I think your spine is more like a beacon that's emanating, like a radio tower, right? It's actually emanating. And then your breath can actually amplify what's already happening. Because whether you hold your breath or not, there's still awareness that's going out through your limbs. There's still awareness that's going through your body, right? So when you can get your breath to actually follow that, right? So, because your body also breathes, not as long as breathing is realized not just to be oxygen, right? You have to let go of thinking your body breathes too. And here's another thought, that the holding your breath, the retentive part of breath that happens at the bottom of exhalation and at the top of inhalation, where you think that's not, we tend to think of breathing as inhale and exhale. No, the retention at the bottom and the retention at the top for a yogi is actually also breathing. So holding your breath, there is no holding your breath when you start to see it continuous. There's different utilizations of the different aspects of breathing. That's a game changer if you start to let that in, right? So there's a reason why people hold their breath when they have pain. They're actually trying to bury it in retention. Right? There's a whole bunch of things that are happening when that happens. So keep inhaling and let it expand. And then what's great is on the exhalation, I want you, instead of just collapsing, I want you to exhale from the back ribs, like as if someone's pushing on the inner edge of each shoulder blade. I want you to inhale and then exhale from the back ribs and notice that there's a lengthening in your spine. There's a hitting down through your sitting bones and out to the top of your head, all depending on whether you actually utilize the ribs more on the exhale. So remember, the inhale is an expansion in every direction that is following what's already happening with and without your inhalation and exhalation. And then the exhalation brings it into focus and it creates the possibility of more congruent action. So what you're going to find is when you're moving your body up through gravity, you're going to be inhaling because you're actually amplifying the expansion into the movement, right? And on the exhalation, you're going to be moving through gravity with more of your will. There's an intake on inhalation, and an action happens usually more on exhalation. And that constant ebb and flow, right, is one of the things I want you to pay attention to. There's a constant ebb and flow between expansion and extension in your breathing. So let's just pay more attention. Inhale, expand, exhale, come from the back ribs and lengthen through your sitting bones and out through the top of your head. As you do that, start to be more aware of your heels. So you realize it's your whole body. Come more out to the edge of your chair. So you inhale and you extend on the exhalation. So now inhale, take your arms up over your head. That's good. Right? Keep extending up. And then exhale, take your arms down. Which we also, think of how often you sigh when you finally hit a chair. Right? It's happening all the time already. When you go to stand up, you very rarely go to stand up on inhalation. You do it on inhalation. You'd have a hard time exhaling and standing up. Right? It's like these things are so simple, we don't even notice them, right? So assistants, start helping now. So inhale, take your arms up over your head. And then what I want, how many assistants do I have? 2, 3. Touch the wrists nicely. And then people that don't have any help, take your arms down. Right? So now, take your arms down. So I was teaching my last class about you have more than 2 arms. So this is where I want the assistants to actually be able to do that. Okay, so I want the assistant to figure out how to hold the arms and touch right between the shoulder blades. Good luck with that. Or hold with one arm. Yep, Kat just figured one out, right? So what's being introduced when the foot goes in between the shoulder blades? What kind of calming sensation happens? And what are you going to do with it? Take your arms down, give yourself a break. Right? And then switch, and then, so you guys know then these 2 people need it again, right? Right? So that it kind of, if it didn't throw you off balance, it felt kind of good to have your hands, your arms, your wrists held, right? And then the foot between the shoulder blades, you felt another sense of ease. What are you going to do with that kind of ease? What are you going to do with sensation? The more you can get to that level, the less the pain will stay too focused. Okay, so again, try to put the knee up in there between the shoulder blades and be happy about the fact that our assistants are playing Twister. So then don't waste it and stretch your arms up better. And those of you that aren't having it touch, like feel the knee into your shoulder blades. It's not just imagine it, right? And then slowly release, take your arms down. So there's this other thing I want to say to you about the gatekeeper, right? About the diaphragm being the intersection. Is that I was with a, so there's all this crazy yogic philosophy, like mythology and stuff, and apparently in some of the ancient drawings, there's a whole bunch of the spine is often thought of as a serpent, even so much that the AMA stole that too. If you look at their emblem, it's a serpent, right? So remember, like these things that seem like why that they would pick a serpent to be part of their logo? It's kind of interesting, right? Is that one of the mythological stories is that the 1,000 heads of yoga, the 1,000 serpents of yoga, all come out of T12. All come out of the diaphragm, right? And then because Iyengar is saying that that's the intersection point between your subtle body and your physical body. Another thing to put in your mind in this class, right, is I know very little about martial arts, but what I do know is that a lot of the chi centers at the solar plexus, right, where they're actually focusing and then exploding out from in a martial art, right? Well, solar plexus is where again? It's near the same place. How do you think somebody continues and go and hit someone in martial arts, hits through block or hits through brick? They're told to hit through the brick, not to end at the point of contact. The same thing is taught to someone that's like in a football practice that's running into a dummy. They're supposed to hit the dummy and not hit the dummy and stop. They're supposed to continue their subtle body energy past, right? Past the limb, past where the shoulder's hitting the dummy. Like we apparently have some sort of capability here that actually can move through stuff and not just collide with stuff. What do you think that is? You have a whole bunch of martial arts and a whole bunch of different like systems of mind-body interaction that are using this ability to not stop here, but to go through something, right? And it can be a martial art or it could be a yoga pose. We're going to explore in this class how it is that expansion from the back body will help you move through your limbs. All right, so now inhale, take your arms wide. And so when an assistant comes up behind you and holds up your arms, and you think it's just relief. So those that aren't getting help, you can take your arms down. You think it's just relief. Go the next. Can you take this up a little higher? Go the next level. It's also direction. It's not just relief. Now watch how much direction you lose when they don't help your arms. Apparently, the relief was part of which your consciousness was traveling through. It wasn't just your effort. Take your arms wide again. Have your arms held up. Now from the center of your chest, go in every direction. Extend out through your arms, all to the top of your head. Do it from relief, though, as opposed to from your will. Open the palms of your hands. Feel the top of your head. Feel where your heels are. Now watch what is lost when they don't, and they're not holding up your arms all the way, when they just don't even touch you, it gets harder again, right? What collapsed? You see how your spine just got heavier? Take your arms down. Your spine, and then those that didn't have the help, assistant switch. Your spine, we all did it. So your spine gets heavier as part of the sensation when your arms aren't held up, right? So take your arms wide again. Now I want you, even if you're sitting in a chair, spread your knees as far apart as you can. Come more to the edge of the chair without falling. And take your legs out straight. So you're doing a standing pose while sitting. Why? Don't let it hurt your back as you come on your tailbone, right? So whatever you can do like this, right? Now, as you take your arms wide, this is good. I like this, right? So now, we can do it from the center of the chest, but you can also think of it at your solar plexus too. But actually, they're deeply related. Remember, the diaphragm is going to be the gatekeeper, right? So when the assistant now comes up and holds up your arms, the relief, right, you need to distribute through all of your limbs. There you go. I knew you couldn't watch for too long, right? The relief, I want you to extend through your limbs. Okay, so, and then when it goes away, watch how everything collapses, your spine gets heavy. Crap. Then your muscles have to engage more. Take your arms down. Here's the deal. So now we're going to get a little bit more freaky. Because it's the class here. Remember, I'm exploring. Did I say this? Didn't I say this? But I've been exploring how I've got more than one set of arms and stuff. Did I say that out loud in this class? I just taught you right. Okay, and so your limbs aren't just, see, now, this is really important. This is how I teach people with amputation. I teach them how to extend from their spine even through their missing limb. So I had a guy in class that just tore his rotator cuff. So he only can take his arms like this. So take your arms up like that. Cat, come behind Jake. Come behind Jake. So if I want him to extend beyond his if I want him to continue his arm out here, right? I'm going to have Cat hold up on each elbow, each side, each elbow. And you extend from the center of the chest. And even though your arm's going that way, I want you to extend out that way. I want you to literally have more limbs, right? Like, so there's one that's going out from here, and there's one that's bending back this way. I want you to have both, right? So that's going to be how it's helping him, because he can't do this because his arm is just a rotator cuff. But this is how you teach someone with an amputation, too. You get them to extend from their spine out through their whole body. So now, your arms and legs are wide. And now, notice when someone holds up your arms, it actually relaxes your diaphragm, right? And from that level of relaxation, extend through every limb. Get bigger through all your limbs. Expand from the center outward. Extend more through your heels. Do you think I'm crazy? You're giving me that look. And then watch when it goes away how your spine gets heavy and your diaphragm ends up shrinking back because your outer body's having to work too hard. Release their arms so she gets a sense of it. See how you have to start gripping? Right? Your subtle body is traveling through your limbs without your volition, depending on the way you're aligned or the way you're supported. All right, one more time. So remember that Vitruvian man, the drawing by Da Vinci? Every direction at once. So let's, for a second, do that, but have the Vitruvian man have multiple arms and multiple legs. Go every direction out of your spine and let your inhale follow all the limbs you don't actually have. Go in every direction on the inhalation. And then extend through every direction on your exhalation. Now, I hope you realize that this isn't just imagination right now. You're doing more than imagination. But how are you going to stretch out through the underside of your legs? How are you going to bring more deeper awareness? And then take your arms down. And then we'll do it one more time with relief, right? Because relief is the beginning and end of every yoga pose, every single one. So assistance help again. And don't waste it. Use it and expand in every direction through the limbs you actually have direct control over, but see more and extend. Do it from your spine out through those limbs, not from your mind through those limbs. You have more potential here. Good, and then release. Other people that didn't get the help, get the help. There's a movement of energy that occurs here that is really important. So those that haven't had the help, bring your legs together. Sit up straight and tall. So what I'd like to have happen now is some version of dog pose. So I want you to come forward and, patty cake, or grab the arms or whatever. So, and those of you that don't have an assistant right now, put your hands like Kim is on her knees, right? So you can have her lean forward onto your shoulders. Have her lean forward onto your shoulders. Or actually, do it however you want it. If you can stay balanced. See, I wouldn't have been able to stay balanced. See, that's good right there. Push into my fingers right here, Kim. Push back into my fingers. Press down through your heels. Extend through your head. Tailbone up to the top of your head. So take his arms up higher. Higher. Keep your head down. Have him lean forward now a little bit more. And pull on this vector up. We're getting length in his back. Keep your sitting bones. Does that feel okay? Get your sitting bones down and let that length happen in your back. Make sure you keep your knees aware and your ankles aware. Good. And then release. And then so what Elizabeth had to do, which I do sometimes, is there's ways to do dog pose. Because remember, Bethany, will you just do dog pose here? So one of the simple things that's happening in dog pose is intensity between your arms and legs that lengthens your spine, right? If you don't get caught up into the shape. So and then come on down. So there's a way to do dog pose. Because remember, if I'm not, and so can you do half dog pose on your knees? Okay, so yeah. Remember, this would be great if you could all be in a straight line. But when I don't have any help and I don't have a wall, if I go, and then come on out of it, if I go here, and remember, she's got pressure on her knees. So that'd be the feet on the ground if you're standing, right? And then there's intensity in the stretch in the arms. And then if I become aware of the inside edge of the pose, I can make it be like dog pose here. Give it a try. Use the heel of your hand on your knees. Try not to overarch your back. It's going to happen some, right? Make this stronger. Now, I'm going to have you take the abdomen back and work the arms, right? If she overarches her back here, overarch. The diaphragm overengages and you feel more intensity, but you don't feel it as fully, right? So again, make this a pose. Hit this in and learn to lift your sternum. Drop your shoulder blades. Ground your feet. Broaden across the collarbones. Breathe. Bring intensity here. Now, feel that intensity. And now when you get help to take your arms up over your head, right? In dog pose, do dog pose mirrored again with assistance helps. And you can decide where, if you want to do hands to hands. I wouldn't be able to balance it. Maybe you can. Now, figure out how to make this more intense in the same way you just did. Figure out how to make it have more inward active dimension. There, see, I think I just saw you get it right there where you made the pose get stronger. Did you feel that? I know Bethany did because it went through her body, right? And then release. So by working can you just do this again? It's not too fatiguing, is it? So look over here for a second. So by working, hands a little bit higher. So you're doing all this stuff, and that's what the outer pose looks like. But to increase the intensity of the inner dimension, the inside edges of the pose while you're acting outwardly, where do you think that intensity comes from? Here. It doesn't come by learning how to flex these muscles. It comes from a different part of your being. All right? So now as she's doing this and working hard, tip your head down, right? Because she's holding up here, she's cutting the energy. The assistants are going to partner up. And then we're just going to do that. Lift under your collarbones. There's comes the back. Now use that for your legs. There you go. She did it again there. Right? Good. And then release. So again, we're touching right around where the 1,000 serpents come out of to show how the energy can move even while you're efforting on a different level. That's a lot of what yoga's teaching. All right. Assistants, partner up. Go around to each person. In the meantime, Sue, push on your own knees in. I'm going after that spine. All right, you and I then. Take your arms up. Yep. Now remember, we're trying to engage the inner edge too. Underside of your arms. There you go. Inside edge of your legs. And then here comes a level of surrender in at the spine. Don't lose the intensity of the pose. Okay, stay connected. As this arm straightens, work your legs more. Good. And then release. So did you feel, in this, go help Renee. So did somebody feel, and then did Elizabeth get it? So the other team go to Elizabeth. I'll go, let you and I go over there, Lindsay. Okay, so did you feel like, she's going to help here, we're going to do it again. Okay, so what I want you to get, arms a little higher. Have her come down more in a vector, right? So did you notice a change as when you're working? See, yeah, right? Go inward, there you go. There's more of dog pose. Did you notice when the finger came into your spine how the sensation changed? Could you allow that? Could you fold that in the way you stir an ingredients in a cookie dough? Can you fold the change in the energy sensation into the pose? Did anyone feel a difference when the finger came on their back? You going to say no? Sure, or here, right? You can say no because I want you to feel it. Okay. Little. All right. So everyone sit and go back to the. I know. Oh yeah, we haven't done that yet. That's why she hasn't felt it. Come more to the edge of her chair. I was gonna come more out to the edge of your chair, Trish. So what happened? Right? Did you feel what subtly changed when the finger went into your spine? Yes or no? That's the subtle body. Now, what's cool about it is it almost could have been a touch anywhere on the spine, right? But there are going to be places that are more effective. But what it does is when this gets safe, the diaphragm releases, is no longer a gatekeeper. It actually opens between the two worlds, right? So it's like this is about conditions of safety to let the energy come in every direction. Right? So now I want everyone to get down on the mat. Now we take all this to the floor. So now you can see where the class is going, right? Right? And I've been doing all this setup so they can do standing poses from the inside out with a calm diaphragm. All right, on the back. Yeah, on your back. So while we're waiting for this, lay on your back and swing your calves up onto the chair. I think this is a position that you should fall in love with. and try sleeping with it. Like if you need to sleep, you can get something, so scoot forward if you can. So more of your cap is on, yep. And then lay back. Because you're in so much pain, right? Your lower abdomen and your psoas are having to grip against the pain. So anything you can do to start bringing more space into your back, this, good, like is for sure. And it doesn't have to be for a long time. It's short time, many times. You do? So you did it multiple times? Yeah, okay. Don't worry about that. We're just waiting here. You're just doing that while we're waiting. Nope, unless you want to do really hard standing poses. I don't mind doing really hard standing poses, watching you guys do really hard standing poses. Okay? So, actually, legs up on the chair. Well, I thought you were going to, good. I thought you were going to pivot and try to sit down from where you're standing. One of the things that I've found for me is that if I have someone fill the space that I was going to fall into, I don't fall as often, right? So like if you're making a hard transfer, put an object into the space, right? Now think about what I just said. So if you're transferring or you're off balance and you think there's a chance you might fall and you know this transfer is coming, if you put an object into that space, how does it help you stay on balance? Right? There's a lot of things going on in that little thing that seems so simple. There's a lot of things going on there, right? Because then your energy body is staying more upright. You're not being just as affected by the gravity fall perceived by your eyes. There's a lot of stuff going on. All right. So, legs up on the chair for Elizabeth when she gets a chance here. Right? So now this is relaxing your psoas muscle. Your abdomen more, right? And so I'm going to tell you there are very few yoga poses that you're actively engaging your abdomen to move energy through your limbs. You might be grounding your abdomen, you might be doing some stuff, but so like people that do a lot of sit-ups aren't helping their yoga practice, right? Because they're not helping the connection between their limbs. They're bringing a gripping kind of strength to what should be an expansive type of relief, right? So what I want you to do here, now your back body feels safer, right? Take your arms wide, palms up onto the ground. They're on the ground now. On the ground, back to your hands. So just know that I'm jealous. If you can do this, like I do this for not very long, and my arms go numb because of the way I've torn my rotator cuff, the way I have solar plex, I have thoracic junction issues. But so what I want you to do here is now stretch out through the bottom side of your arms to straighten your arms. So Sue probably needs a blanket underneath that wrist. Right, so she's got a straight line. Right, so now try to stretch out the back body to the underside of the arms. Can you do that and feel the stretch increase in your forearms and stuff? Yeah. So, and then release. I'm asking you to do, Trish, is stretch out through the back side. Pick a point in the center, right between shoulder blades, and go out each side, right? So now, do it again. So why would I be cueing the back side of the body to do that? Why would I want you to go surrender more into the mat? Hit your abdomen down, your back body into the mat, and use that energy to stretch out through your arms. And so now you just made it more willful, right? And more active. But the ability to stretch out through your back body is a big one. So release for a second, and we come over to here. So there's a really important line that I learned. But first of all, I want you to do chair pose. Right? Yeah, with against back to the wall. So, and with their arms over her head, all the way up over your head, right? So this is a harder than hell pose. It fatigues the legs, but it'll be like 3 times harder and better energetically, if you can watch over here, if she takes her abdomen back towards the wall. That puts way more effort into her legs, right? But it's energetically better, right? And then release. So what I want you to do in a second, you're going to take your arms up over your head, straight over your head, like Bethany's just were, up over your head. So now this would be a place where an assistant, if their arms are in the air, should just lightly touch wrists and give reference so they're not hanging in the air, right? If the shoulders can't touch, right? Now what I want you to do, take your arms over your head and put them just touch them onto my chair. So I want you now to hit your abdomen down towards the floor, but extend out through your legs and arms. Abdomen down towards the floor. So your arms go farther back. Yeah. I'll have you put them on blocks here. So what I want you to get is how much your spine. Put your wrists on each one. Right? Straighten your arms. Right? Now, one of the ways to increase the intensity of this extension is to hit your abdomen back down towards the floor, but then extend out up your leg and out through the underside of your legs. The back, not the top side, Sue. Right? Use the back body to feed the back body. All the way through your entire body. Good, and then release. So, are you able to increase the intensity? Are you know that you're not hitting the abdomen straight down, but you're actually expanding the skin on the whole back body? You see what I'm trying to tell you? So although I gave the instruction straight down, there's no way to do it straight down. It actually has to go down and spread. What part of the back is getting support? The 1,000 heads at T12. Okay? And it's mirroring out through your limbs. This is happening in all standing poses, but most practitioners don't get it when they're standing. They think it's about holding up their arms and engaging their legs. I say this joke all the time, like, oh my God, when I watch students all of a sudden realize they have a torso, it's amazing. Our will move to the outer edges and grip more muscles, right? But part of this, being able to realize how energy travels to your abdomen, you're activating the vagal nerve, which is a big part of your more primitive nervous system, right? So being able to move and point through your limbs from this map that's in your abdomen is actually how you're going to move the subtle body through your limbs. So now if I were trying to be a scientist, which I'm not, I probably wouldn't talk about the intersection of the physiological body and the subtle body occurs at the diaphragm. I say something like you need to activate your vagal nervous system in a asana, but you can't do it directly. You can't grip your abdomen to do this. You can't grip your diaphragm to do this, right? All right, so take your arms out wide again now. Pick a point both in the center of the chest and your solar plexus and go through all of your limbs. Keep the back body released into the floor as you effort from the underside, from the moon side, from the darker side, or from the more invisible side of your consciousness, start to extend and move through your whole body. Good, and then release. All this got triggered from me hearing that Prashant said about Trikonasana. This is back, I've been doing yoga for 28 years. Early on, in the first couple years, I heard that Prashant says, do Trikonasana like your back's against the wall. Like there's a wall behind you, right? And I started thinking about, what does that do? It actually calms you down. What does calming you down do? Helps you extend the subtle body through the pose without it being so gripped. So then it made me realize that there's a lot of things. It's hard to do standing poses on the ground, but it's if you start to realize what the ground does and how it creates the possibility of expansion without muscular effort, then you've really got something, and that's what you're practicing right now. So I want you to go from the back body out through your arms. Now we're going to take your legs up, and the reason why we had your legs up is your psoas gets released here. Now we're going to have take your legs off the chair and have them flat on the ground. For me, I'm loving the setup of this room. This is working really well for me. I don't really care about you. It's all about me. I'm just saying. Now, take your arms and legs wide. Unless it hurts. Okay. So now, one time, Kat, will you just stand here for a second? So take your arms and legs wide right here. Just face this way. So can you kind of see over here? Just look up here. Right? And so one time I was with Mary Dunn, a senior Angar teacher that's no longer with us. Died of ovarian cancer, damn it. She said that your arms and your legs start right here. That the root of your arms is here and the root of your legs. That intersects with the solar plexus that the chi people, like the martial art is going for, right? So, then take your arms down. So, think of as your arms and legs are wide here, as wide as they can go, pick a point in the center of right by your solar plexus, and go in every direction. But now do it from the back body. Right? So you're picking a point at the intersection of the subtle body and the physiological body. You're moving in every direction out through your limbs. So if that means out through your elbow into the wall, right? The arm is bent. That'd be practicing the multiple limbs, right? So push the limb into the wall and still feel your hand on the wall. And have both limbs, have both of them working like that. Right? And extend in every direction from the back body. Now, things that we could do to help this, and then release. So I'm going to have here with Renee, I'm going to have Bethany pull out on her heels. Right? Because now think about what I'm doing and what I'm thinking. I'm trying to give reference for the mind to realize the movement of the subtle body. So here she goes. She's doing the same thing, picking the solar plexus. And now we're just giving extra reference. But don't you lose something, right? You don't get it from here. Yeah. Right? So this action, this is going to be too complicating. Right? But if I ground you here on your rib cage, then you might be able to get it. Right? So she couldn't feel it. Now check out what just happened. She couldn't feel it as well when Bethany's pulling here. But if I grounded the crest of her rib cage, calmed her diaphragm down, it's still then she could still connect to it again. Right? That's the outer body. This is the inner body that's coming from the intersection of the physiological body and the diaphragm. But you can't instruct the diaphragm. It needs to receive. You can't activate actions from the diaphragm without getting dizzy. But that's a whole other... Guess how I learned that one? The hard way. All right, so now take your arms and legs wide again. So something you've had Kat step over Trish and pin her hips. Think about what pinning the hips are, right? Think about what we're doing in arms and legs wide, a little higher up on her hip, right? So that is actually making it safe for the diaphragm to release. Bend forward and touch on her shoulders. Again, creating the possibility of the diaphragm or the 1,000 heads to move through the limbs. I actually think it's better to think about this in terms of Indian mythology than it is thinking about it anatomically, right? So move in every direction now from the back body, Trish, and expand out through your arms and legs, hitting your back body into the ground and expanding out through your limbs. Take a breath. All right, so let's do that for each person, right? But what we're doing is setting points of reference around where all the serpents come out of your freaking spine. See that? Did you just kind of see it going all directions right there? Like, I just saw you go there. Your spine's going in every direction. There, see, I see you seeing it again. I breathe into that. Stay in your back body. Start the breath more from the back body. There, extend out. So you're taking the relief at first and then trying to transition it to the back side where the actual spine, the breath enters the spine, and you're moving it in every direction. If you do this from the front body, from the front side of the solar plexus, it won't be as effective. You'll actually lift off the ground, right? Your diaphragm will go the wrong direction. Good, and then release so everyone gets that adjustment, because then we're about to do, right at the end here, we're going to do some standing poses, laying down. But learning to activate from the subtle body through the limbs. See you later? You got to go? Yep. All right. So take your legs together. So Supta Padangusthasana that doubles as Trikonasana. So let's do it here. Someone, Kat, help me here. All right. So you're going to take your right leg up. You're going to hold it up. You're going to pull and put length, right? Take your arms wide. So as it comes, you're going to help her go out to the left. You might have to step over here, Kat. As it goes off to the side, right? Off to the side. So even more, can it go any farther? Is it okay? Right? So now what I want is when you're in this position and you're getting the support from gravity, right? I want your whole side body, Kim, your left side of your body to roll down towards the floor as you extend out to the underside of the down leg, out through the heel. Now stretch from your arms from the back body again, from the underside. Now inhale and let your breath go to all of your limbs, and then exhale and extend more through your limbs. Inhale, expand in every direction. Exhale through the limbs you actually have, and extend. Good, and then release. We're going to do that with everybody, right? Both sides. So we're going to go through it. So you've done this pose before a lot, and now I want you to do it with more of your vagus nerve system, or the 1,000 heads of yoga. So extend out through the heel and the ball of the foot, of the leg going off to the side, but now suck the femur bone back towards the hip socket. Extend through the underside of the down leg and stretch out through your arms from the underside. Good, and then come on up. So here's the deal. So this is how I asked it in the first class this morning. It's like, so when you're extending out through the heel and the ball of the foot of the side, leg going off to the side, and you're stretching to the underside of the down leg, and you're stretching from the back body out through this arm, where are you holding the pen from? Where is this multidirectional action originating from? It's going to be from your diaphragm, right? So you have to keep aware of it and let the energy from your spine expand in every direction as it's sucking back towards the center, as it's expanding to the center, right? So you're doing both legs, right? Did we do? Okay, you've only had one leg. Get it even, damn it. Otherwise, Sue will go around in circles. Yeah, for sure. The reference helps for sure. But also, if it's not there, the muscle has to flex more, and she gets disconnected from the space. And that's part of proprioception. But so letting her work more from relief than from strain will actually increase proprioception. Yeah. Yeah. All right, so you're off to the side, you're stretched out to the heel and the ball of the foot, and then you're doing something crazy. You're sucking the femur bone back towards the hip socket. You're going through the underside of the leg down through the other body, and you're broadening between the shoulder blades out through the arms. All this, that's the epicenter. But you can't originate the action from there. You have to see it and breathe. There you go. So now the inhalation starts to activate it. Had it yet? Not your left leg? Who are these people? Whatever. These aren't my problems. I almost feel like you're smiling. Kind of what? Oh. Did it hurt? Good. You're expecting the pain, right? Yeah. Because you're increasing the amount of grounding. So your legs are moving without grounding, which would make anyone's consciousness grip. Right? I know, that's what I mean, because this was more grounded. All right, do you think we have 4 sandbags for each person? Damn straight. So take your arms and legs wide and wait for a sandbag on each ankle and a sandbag on each wrist. And if there's only 2 for some people, then do a sandbag just on the ankles. Give Jake the rocks, man. Nothing. This would be some of the nicer part of the class. Kim, are you feeling how good this feels? What? You're ahead of it. Right now, you're ahead, head. Right? So Kim asked, can I have a sandbag on my abdomen? She's ahead of where we're going. Mm-hmm. Put a block between or something between her elbow and the wall. So, and then you have to have the multiple limbs again, right? Right? So it's like extending into the wall. and also going up. Yep. Mm-hmm. Does that hurt? That's okay. Is it going to end, or is it not going to end? Here, you can push. Here, I can give you your hand back. Yeah. So, does anyone think the sandbags don't feel good? Okay. All right. So, this is where I started really thinking about what's happening inside the joints when I had sandbags more. You know what you could do? Put his calves up on a chair and put the sandbags on his shins. Okay. So and it's easy to forget how good they feel. Don't habituate it. Be a good yogi, right? Keeping the comfort, right? So what I want assistants to come around and do now, when you have your empty space in your joints grounded, I want the assistant to come around and find the crest of the rib cage and put just a little bit of reference on that and let that travel out through the rest of the rib cage, right? So light touch. And you're letting that grounding, you're moving it out through your limbs. But you have to do it from the back body, right? So this is relief at first, right? Extend there, and just softly, not so hard, right? Let the energy move from the back side of the body out through the limbs, right? So this is what Kim wanted. Why she wanted a sandbag on her rib cage, on her abdomen, is she was looking for what was actually in the whole class. You can touch lightly on the crest of his rib cage, right? Trying to show balance. Now move the skin on the back side of the body from the relief out through the limbs, underside of the legs, back side of the arms, move from the center all the way through. Learn how to do this without disrupting the relief. So take the hand off now, and then come on back, because the brain, no matter what, gets bored. It's like, wait, I can't feel it anymore. Learn to move. So don't forget, when the inhalation comes in, it nudges into the rib cage. It travels along the ribs and injects right into the spine where the bones go into the spine anyway. You want to get that part of you relief so it can go better into the backside. So from there is where you're extending out through the limbs. From the underside, from the backside. And notice to do that, like you couldn't move from the backside of your body right now and read a book, right? Because your eyes would be out of focus. This would not be a good action to do while you're doing physics problems. Takes a different quality of your consciousness. And then and then take the hand off. Watch when the sandbags go off and try to make it even better. So the imprint of the sandbags is still there, but the weight isn't. So I kind of want you to get how much potential learning there is in Shavasana. Because in a way, when the teacher says, let your back body sink into the floor, you're setting the stage for all of this movement of body of subtle body awareness. So if you want to bring your legs a little closer together, arms together, more like Shavasana, we're going to go into Shavasana now. But now think about what the instructions in Shavasana that I often give. Pick a point on the inner upper edge of each shoulder blade, the back of each upper arm, and each elbow. Let all of those points sink into the floor. What am I doing? The spots around the center of the chest and the diaphragm are actually getting softened. There's emptiness in your joints, in your ankles, your knees, your shoulders, your elbows, and your wrists. Let all those points sigh. Notice then that the back body merges with the floor, but the core of the body rises slightly. Shavasana is a nourishing pose, and Prashant said put a wall behind you because it activates a different part of the nervous system. And it's where a lot of your grounded intelligence is. And it's not a coincidence that it's in Shavasana that you get nourished the most. Soften around the skin on the face. Let there slight movement of skin on the forehead towards the eyebrows. Soften around the temples. Let your eyes sink and drop underneath the cheekbones. Relax your belly to relax your throat. Both sides of the diaphragm again. Soften the jaw, the inside of the mouth, even the base of the tongue to relax the inner ear. Your torso just got lighter. And you got more grounded. Trust the hum. That's what Shavasana is, a balancing pose. Unity and nourishment require a balance. Feel your breath. Don't change it. Thank your body. Not just for what it does, but for what it teaches you. Thank it again. Start to bring yourself back. Slightly deeper inhalation, slightly longer exhalation. When you're ready, and if you can, bend from the elbow and place your hands on your rib cage or abdomen. Wonder why I've been saying rib cage the whole time. Wonder what that grounds and helps to surrender. Touch on the belly can do the same thing. When you're ready, open your eyes slowly and then close them again. And then choose to open them. When you're ready, and if you can, bring your hands into prayer. Namaste. Spirit in me bows the spirit in you. All right. Bend the left leg, push off, roll over to your right side if you can, relatively easily. I would just stay there, Renee. Oh, you got it? Okay. When you're ready, push off with your left hand. Keep your head low. Gradually sit up.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you like what you saw, please subscribe to our channel.